Chapter 11. Alcinoüs. After a while Odysseus rose to go into the city, and Athena spread a mist around him, so that the passers-by might not see him as he went. Also she took upon her shape of a young girl who was carrying a pitcher, and met him. Odysseus asked her, "My child, can you tell me where King Alcinoüs lives? I am a stranger here." She answered, "I will show you his abode. It is close to the home of my father." So she led the way, and Odysseus followed her. Much did he wonder as he went at all he saw, the harbour and the ships, the places of assembly, and the walls, till they came to the palace. Athena said, "This is the king's house." Further she said, and now Odysseus knew that it was Athena and not a girl that was speaking, "Go in, fear nothing. The fearless man always fares best. And look first for the queen. Her name is Arete. Never was a wife more loved by a husband, or a queen more honoured by her people. Be sure that if she favours you, you will come to the end of your troubles, and you will see your dear land of Ithaca again." When she said this, Athena vanished out of sight, and Odysseus went into the palace. Wonderful place it was, as bright as if the sun had been shining on it, and the walls were of brass, and the doors were of gold, and the posts on which the doors were hung were of silver, and along the sides of the hall were golden chairs, on which the chiefs were used to sit when they were invited to a feast. By each seat was a golden statue of a man holding a torch in his hand, so that the hall might be lighted when it was night. There were 50 maidservants in the house. Half of them were grinding corn, and half of them were weaving robes. All around the house were beautiful gardens full of fig trees, and apples and pears and pomegranates and olives. They never are harmed by frost or drought, and there is never a time when some fruit is not ripe. Also there was a vineyard, and this bore grapes all the year round. Some of them were hanging dried in the sun, and some were being gathered, and some were just turning red. Also there were beds of beautiful flowers, and in the middle there were 2 fountains, which never grew dry. Odysseus could not help looking for a short time at all these wonderful and beautiful things. There were many people in the hall, but no one saw him, for as we know there was a mist all about him, which hid him from them. So he went on to where the queen was sitting, and knelt down before her, and put his hands on her knees. And as he did this, the mist cleared away from round him. All the people in the hall saw him quite plainly. He said, "Oh, queen, I beg a favour of you. I pray you and your husband and your children to help me. Send me to my home, for I know that you help strangers to travel across the sea." When he said this, he sat down among the ashes on the heath. Then said one of the nobles that were in the hall, he was the very oldest man that there was in all the land, "King Alcinous, do not let this stranger sit there among the ashes. Tell him to sit upon a chair, and give him something to eat and drink." Then the king told his eldest son to take the stranger by the hand, and raise him up, and make him sit down on his own seat. This the young man did. And a servant brought a basin and poured water over Odysseus' hands, and the housekeeper brought him something to eat and to drink. The king said, "This man begs a favour of us, that we may take him to his home. Tomorrow we will have an assembly, and will consider how we may best do this. And now you can all go to your homes." But before they went, Odysseus said, "I could tell you, my friends, of many troubles that I have suffered. But first I must eat and drink, that a man must do, however unhappy he may be. I will say only this. When you come together tomorrow, do your best to help me in this matter. I should be content to die if I could only see my home again." This they all promised to do, and so departed. When Odysseus was left alone, the queen looked at him somewhat more closely, and she saw that the clothes which he wore had been made by herself and her maids. And she said, "From what country have you come, and who gave you these clothes?" Then Odysseus told her how he had travelled many miles across the sea on the raft, and how the raft had been broken, and how he got to the shore after swimming for 2 days and 2 nights and more, and how Nausicaa had found him and had had pity on him and brought him to the city. The queen said, "I blame my daughter that she did not bring you with her. That was what she should have done." "Nay, lady," said Odysseus, "she would have brought me, but I would not come, for I did not like that the girl should be blamed." Then said the king, "Eat and drink in peace, stranger. We will do what we wish and take you to your home. There are no men in all the world who can row better than the Phoenician youths. You will lie down to sleep, and before you wake they will have carried you to your own country. They can go to the farthest part of the world and then come back the same day and not be tired." Odysseus was glad to hear what the king said, and he prayed in his heart, "May the king do what he promises, and may I come in peace to my own land." Then the queen told the maids to make a bed ready for the stranger, and they went with their torches in their hands and made it ready, and came again and said to Odysseus, "Stranger, your bed is ready." So he followed them. Right glad was he to sleep after all he had suffered.